So the last couple of weeks, I've had the fortune, if you like, of the archives at my fingertips, and I just wish I'd have had them when I was writing the Paul Sykes books. Obviously, I written free, um, and there was a lot. There was a lot I actually didn't know, and so there is going to be another book coming out in 2025. So the book's going to be called Paul Sykes, A Man of Violence, or an Expert of Violence, I think it'll be called. Um, Obviously from that quote in the documentary. But the book's basically going to be, there's literally. I'm amazed at how many times he was in the pit. Obviously, there was no internet back in them days. But I found articles literally from the 60s. So you can imagine and go on how many times he was in the papers in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s to, of course, his eventual demise. But I've just interviewed an absolute gentleman called Angus Young. So he was a name that I come across from looking in the archives. So he's talking about an experience back in 1988, stroke 89, when he actually went inside Hull prison to interview Paul on the back of his book, Sweet Agony, won the Kerslow Award. And he was talking about, obviously, Sykes had a very dark sense of humour, if you like. And he was talking about what pretending to kidnap him. And Angus in the paper, he said the photographer was with me, was literally shaken with fear. And you saw the documentary, you kind of saw what a character he was, and one can only imagine how much of a very scary, frightening aspect he would have made would have been to interviewing to see it up and close in the flesh. But I've just had a 20-minute interview with the Hull reporter who actually went into prison to interview Paul. So I'm gonna, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put it out on this channel tomorrow. If you're watching this on the Paul Sykes Facebook page, I will put the recording on when it's being edited tomorrow. As I said, I didn't know him. I just watched a documentary. I read the book, and I walked into the story, and I met all the characters. And yeah, Angus Young was a young reporter at that time, and to be given the opportunity to go inside prison, and this isn't a normal prison. This was actually a prison inside a prison. This was Hull Prison's A wing, which was a special unit. Then it was the worst of the worst. Everyone in there was turned into a werewolf. Um, probably Paul Sykes was probably one of the least scariest ones in there. You had the likes of uh, Patrick Mackay, the mass murderer. Your Bronson's been in there. Your David McCallum, your Fred Laws. A lot of people basically not seeing the light of day again. And hoping to get out in Broadmoor or a nice cell in Rampton. This was literally the worst of the worst. For an opportunity for a young journalist to take that prospect of, take that opportunity, if you like, and go in and meet someone as notorious, if you like, or infamous as Paul Sykes was. It was it basically couldn't say no, and he's 35 years on. I asked him, and he said, I'm glad I did it. It was quite an experience. So I will put that video on. As I said, I'll put it on the Paul Sykes Facebook page tomorrow, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel. Um, because it's never about glamorizing these characters. It's about, as I've just said to that gentleman, he was part of social history, part of Wakefield's history, if you like, part of Hull Prison's social history. He said, as I said, there was no internet back then, and but kind of everyone knew him in the Hull. I'm not sure what the Hull paper's called, the Hull Gazette or whatever it's called. Everybody knew him. Do you know what I mean? So, as I said, for him to get this opportunity and sit down and interview Paul Sykes would have it would have been uh, a complete one-off experience, one would imagine. And yeah, I will put it on the channel for you all tomorrow to listen to. Um, yeah, other than that, yeah, the page I will keep clicking on. Facebook, of course, runs some ads on it now, so this kind of gives us an insight. It gives us more of an incentive to prolong it a little bit, and and I get to. It's still a work in progress. I did the free books. Obviously, Warcry have done their own books. Matthew Oakley's done his own book. He's talking about doing another one next year. Um, I'm sure other people will come along and do books, and when the film starts and project and documentaries and all this, and I'd like to think I won't be the only one who kind of comes and studies and researches, if you like, that kind of character who was so captivating and so fascinating. That we can kind of learn from a psychological aspect. Certainly not about glamorizing any kind of. There's nothing cool, or, to spend a life in prison and to do a lot of the wicked, heinous acts that Paul Sykes obviously did. Um, I don't know, was he mentally ill or? Yeah, but I think either way you look at it, that's what kind of made the man as fascinating as he was. And you know, the journalist said to me there, all I was told was as I was meeting this criminal, if you like, who was this ex boxer, and he said when I got there, I could see, pugilistic features, flat nose, but he was very sharp. He was very switched on, and he wasn't your average con. Wasn't the average person who basically wasted his whole life um, of his prime years eaten away by locusts in prison. So you think for someone so switched on, what what made him behave and do and have a life the way he did? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, and it's a rabbit hole, and I think it'll continue and continue, and the interest in your characters like Paul Sykes and beyond is it's not diminishing anytime soon, and yeah, I think overall the public are greatly fascinated.